In this case, I can probably do pin squats every single day. The other day I had pin squats, lower pin squats, and I was cooked with 3 plates. Today I thought, okay, let's put it right lower, like right at that parallel position, around there, see what I can do there. Today I did that. I put those safety pins right in that, basically the bar was at my pubic bone when I'm standing next to it. Very, very low position. Wow. I managed to do 2 plates today, and it was a battle. Mid-back, upper back positioning, trying to keep upright. Quads, wow, man. Wow. Absolutely taxing. We are talking about a 2-plate squat, 100 kilos. This is 50% of my 1 rep max. Less than 50% of my 1 rep max. That is insanity. I got a workout today. Man, I never thought 100 kilos could beat me up like this, man. If I was to do 100 kilos for 5 sets of 10, what I did today, but I did them outside the rack and I did them ATG, it would have been nothing, not even an event. It wouldn't tax me at all. But the fact that I did them in a pin squat situation, a low pin squat situation, I have to stop just above the ATG position, rest the bar on the pins, and generate force from there. My Lord. It's incredible how difficult it is for me. Like, I kept looking back at the bar, and I'm like, that's 2 plates, man. This is 2 plates I have in the bar, and I feel like I'm moving 160, man. I feel like I'm just so much more weight on the bar. That initial force required to break the bar off the pins is so difficult, man. I am planning to do pin squats every single day. This is 100 damn kilos, man. Like I said, it's less than 50% of my 1 rep max, man. And yet I'm working out like crazy with it, man. Like crazy. So right now the plan is to do these damn things every single day, right at that level. Maybe I could go another pin lower, but I don't want it to go too low where it's comfortable. I think right at, that spot right now, it's basically right in the middle of that belly of that whole position where it's just uncomfortable for me. It's really, really weird. Automatically, my body just wants to lean over and it wants to just engage that posterior chain. So me, by sticking my chest up, me by forcing the quads to do the work is so uncomfortable, man. So uncomfortable. I think this is one of the big benefits of pin squats is that it forces you. It's almost like a feedback mechanism. It gives you that tactile feel of where you are. Because if I go down a little bit more and I hit that ATG position, I bounce on my adductors and my adductors generate some sort of speed. I basically skip over this range of motion completely. My quads don't have to do anything in that position. But the fact that I stop the bar in that position and it's essentially all quads, that's what it feels like to me, all quads and upper back, it seems. That's exactly what I'm emphasizing. It's such an effective exercise. And the reason why I think I can get away with this every single day is because it's 100 kilos. I'm working 50%. Now, it doesn't feel like 50% to me because I'm basically hammering away at a weakness that is just so glaring to me. I can't basically think of why it's so damn weak. Like if I'm doing ATG squats, if I can do 190 kilos for a set of 5, right? How the hell am I experiencing such difficulties with 100 kilos? Now, of course, I probably haven't recovered fully from yesterday's workout where I did 140 at a higher pin, but still, man, it's 100 damn kilos, man. It shouldn't be giving me a quad pump like this and an upper back pump like this. It's crazy. And what I actually planned to do today was actually do some pin presses with overhead press. So pin presses with the bar kind of positioned around the mouth level. Exactly that 90-degree knee kind of, elbow position. Kind of like the 90-degree position that I was experiencing with the squats. Just difficulties there. I spoke about it yesterday. What is it about 90 degrees? A few of you guys said, well, it's your weakest leveraged position. It's that position at 90 degrees is the biggest lever from the center of mass. It's the biggest lever. It's kind of the most force is required in that position. But when I think about that in terms of squats, okay, the knees at 90 degrees. But what's the hip doing? Is the hip at 90 degrees as well? Like, surely the glutes can exert some sort of force at 90 degrees. So there seems to be a handover of muscles through a given range of motion. And I feel like if you stop at each floor and ask from that floor to generate power, it's almost like a different exercise, man. It's so unreal. For somebody that's been squatting ATG for a long time, obviously, it's common sense to think that I've developed a strength in the ATG position because I'm always reversing the direction of force at the bottom. And so I'm really comfortable with that. And, you know, it goes to show how comfortable I am when I can do 200 kilos for a pause rep, you know, in a squat, ATG. But if you ask me to pause this at 200 kilos, I can guarantee you that is not moving. I guarantee you that is not moving a freaking inch. 200, no way. Double weight than what I got here? Impossible. It's impossible. But that's weird, right? It's so weird. Why is there such a massive drop-off of force from full ATG? I would love to see what you guys, you know, say about this, what you experience. Where do you find, you know, the most weakness? And what I want to know is how glaring is the weakness? Like if you're a 250 kilo squatter, ATG squatter, you can do 250 ATG squat. I will be shocked if you can't hit, I don't know, man, like 4 plates from that weakest point, like that 90-degree knee bend, exactly how I've got it right here. I will be shocked if you can't move 4 plates out of that position. I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking to myself, if I can get that bit strengthened, if I can get this 100 kilo position right I'm doing now, and it looks easy, but that initial like millimeter, that initial centimeter is so weak. Once I get the bar moving there, it's just downhill, it seems. But it's that start position, mate. It's so gnarly for me, man. I just think if I strengthen this thing, it's going to be good for me, mate. It's going to be good for me. Because I know every pin after that I go up, I'll go from strength to strength to strength to strength. If I go even further down, if I just do an ATG squat, it's also a strength. It's just an interesting thing. So these pin squats are grabbing my attention again. I'm doing them every single day. Like I said, I wanted to do overhead press. I just ran out of energy again. It was just killing me, man. So it's been a few days now since I've done dips and overhead press. Tomorrow I've got another night duty, so it's another day of interrupted sleep and whatever and all that. So it's probably going to be another crappy session. I don't know, man. Right now, man, these pin squats are just taking so much out of me. It's incredible. I don't know if that's normal. There's one fella one subscriber that I've had a few chats over the last few months. And so he's a guy that's training from home as well. You know, I can't remember which country he's from, but he's been a whole bunch of lockdowns. And so he's got a bar and some plates. I think he's got like up to 180. I think he's gone up to 180, 190. And he's working with this like makeshift squat stand, which is very, very low. Like it's not a squat stand. It's like some sort of platform that he's made. It looks like a garage, some sort of tool, trestle or whatever you call them. It's kind of one of those things. And so he basically gets into that ATG position. It's basically an ATG pin squat. That's kind of, it's like a bottom up squat. It's like a Anderson squat essentially. And so he's been doing that, and he's found that he's getting quite strong with it because he's working with it's essentially a deadlift squat. You're starting from the bottom. So it's a complete reversal of how a squat usually is. And he's had really good success. Like, I mean, that is pure power. That is no stretch reflex. That is just pure power if you can get that position. And seeing a few videos of him, he's literally like, he has to kind of like, it's difficult to get underneath the bar. It's difficult for him to get into that position. Like, it's so deep. It's like a full ATG position that he's kind of getting into. So it takes him like a minute, you know, to get underneath it and get some sort of balance, and then he pushes from that position. I mean, that's elite, man. That's, I don't know, man. I know all of us like the idea of a stretch reflex, of that bounce, and I think that's a skill as well that needs to be trained so you can have that big output, you know, going forward. That's how we test one rep max strength. But relying on that, I feel like it's almost like a nitrous boost that kind of keeps getting you out of that hole, but you forget to train what that nitrous boost is not allowing us to train. So it's almost like it's supercharging us, but we're not really working on the issue without the supercharger in that sense. And so without the balance, it changes things completely. You become more balanced, you become more aware of where you are. It's just sheer strength, sheer power, just raw power. So today, as I was doing my squats, I thought about him and I thought, man, maybe there's something to that, man. Maybe if we just, put those damn pins exactly where we don't want it, exactly where they want it. You'll know immediately when you start playing with different heights of pins. You'll get to a position you're like, man, this is disgusting. Leave it there. Leave it there and start generating power from the bottom up. Because I feel like it's cheap. Like the rest of me, central nervous system wise, I haven't done a lot of work, yet it was a lot of work because there was no bounce and it's awkward and it's a whole lot of pressure on my back, which is interesting because when you think about it from a physics point of view, I'm doing less work because, what's the definition of work? It's kind of like weight and times distance traveled times time. I think there's a time element there as well. But it's basically a weight and what distance. So I'm using the same distance, much less weight, but the work seems to be very, very heavy because I am starting from an odd position. It's been a few years since I've done physics, many years, in fact, over 10 years. But I'm just trying to think of that equation for work and whether there is something that talks about positioning, which is interesting. I don't know. Obviously, when you're starting at the top, you're going to have some sort of kinetic energy. You're going to have some sort of stored energy or potential energy, is it? And when you come back down, like you use that energy to propel you forward. Whereas in a raw ATG Anderson squat, you have no stored energy. You have to produce that energy from the get-go. So maybe that's why the workload is more, because there is no energy exchange. So this is where we started manipulating some of these variables, some of these aspects of training, and you can manipulate things and make the training session like much harder while you're in a way deloading other body parts. So right now I'm texting the hell out of my erectors and my quads. That's basically what I'm experiencing. But I don't think the rest of me is getting worked all that much. Like it's weird. Like also the core is, like I started feeling some contractions through my abs as well because I'm just fighting that upright position. Anyway, I'm just trying to justify it in my mind how I'm doing more work with less damn weight, man. How is it possible to do that? I've done floor presses with bench press. That also feels extremely weird. So anytime you remove that stretch reflex, it's kind of like, it's just a freaking dogfight, man. I've never done pin presses or I was going to say push presses, but it's not push press. I've never done pin presses just above that, I guess, ATG position, if you can call it that as well. Just a bizarre thing to experience. But I'm loving it. It's really, I feel like, adding a lot to me. I wanted to do sumos today as well. I haven't forgotten about my hamstrings at all. But every time I work out at home, it's a lot of reps and it's a lot of banging. I don't like doing it. So I'll wait till I get to the gym and I'll do some sumos again. Those stiff-legged, weird sumos. Because as I was doing this as well, I'm like, man, this is a lot of pressure on my quads. I have to make sure I think about balance of the knee, balance of the hip. My hamstrings are always an utmost priority in my mind because, exactly what Louis was saying. It's the most important muscle group, the most neglected muscle group when it comes to strength. I believe that. And it makes me feel healthy. So with all this pushing that I did in the last few days, I feel like I haven't done enough hamstring work. So I can't wait. Maybe tomorrow after I wake up from the night shift, or the following day rather, I will go back into the gym and do a whole bunch of sumos. Just to even out that. I know sumos are technically supposed to be more quad, but the way I do it, it's kind of like a stiff-legged wide stance, stiff-legged deadlift. That's exactly how I'm doing it. It taxes the lower back, it taxes the hamstrings, and I feel like it adds that balance that I need when I'm working the quad so much. That's the other thing, man. When I'm it's so strange, man. When I'm doing normal squats, like you guys, a lot of you guys, for the first time they kind of see me, you're like, man, you've been squatting almost 100 days, man. Where the hell are your legs? My legs look bigger than they are on the screen. I don't know. To me, they look bigger. So they're not. I'm not a stick figure, but with somebody 100 days in a row, you're probably thinking you should be bigger. I don't know what it is, man. When I squat, I rarely feel strain in my quads. Majority of the time, I feel strain in my core. That's where I feel squatting. You know, don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm using my legs, obviously, like what's extending my damn legs and my hips. I feel that working, but when I'm doing, like, say, I don't know, 10 rep or 15 rep, like when you're really adding those reps in, what I feel is core. Like I feel my lower back, I feel my core fatiguing, and that's kind of what stops the set. It's never like quad fatigue or glute fatigue or whatever. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe the way I squat, the way I set up for it, it's all very different, but that's me. I know a lot of people that squat, they're like, man, your legs must be hurting. Man, I rarely get a quad pump. What gives me a quad pump is Bulgarian split squats, lunges, like unilateral stuff, man. Reverse lunges, that really gets my quads going. But bilateral squats, not so much. Which is maybe why when people do these calisthenics movements, lunges, pistol squats and all that, that's very heavy on the quads. You feel the quads. But then you go back to the squat and there seems to be a lack of a carryover. I've heard a whole bunch of people say that pistol squats don't carry over well to bilateral or just barbell squats, which is interesting because you would think so, you would, but it's not really the case. I find that really interesting because my gut feeling would say that there is a big carryover, but apparently not. Anyway, I've got a name to mention, Lewis Gunson. Another fella popped up on the Patreon. I appreciate you, man. Like I always say, I appreciate all of you guys. Overwhelming support. I love you guys, man. What you guys did over the last few days with Laura's page and everything that was going on there, to see you guys do that and support those who can. I also appreciate not everyone's in a position for financial support, which is, I understand. I don't want to say that, whatever you give, you're better than somebody that's given less. It's not like that. I don't look at it that way. This is one of the reasons why I've put the Patreon on private. I don't want people to see how much people are giving. Because, right now I said Lewis Gunson. You could probably remember what I had yesterday, and you could probably go in now and see what Lewis Gunson has given. I don't want that. I don't want that to be the case. I want anonymity when it comes to money, because we're all in different stages of life. We all have different fortunes and opportunities. And for me, it doesn't matter what the money is. It's just the gesture that you're giving what you can, and I appreciate that. So if you give me $25 billion and somebody gives me $1, it's the same to me, because that billionaire probably has a lot of $1 billion. That's kind of how I look at it, and that's my perspective on all of that. So I appreciate every one of you guys, Patreon, YouTube, Instagram, all that. I love all the interactions. I love the community, and what you guys did the last few days has been nothing short of heartwarming, and it's made me really proud. All right, guys. I appreciate all of yous. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.